got winners on the way. You know you can't knock the hustle. And if you gotta get in place, then we gon' put your business on display. Grab a seat with Neesha for a minute. And if you got the goods, we can talk about your business. She know what it's like to make a move independently. And I don't fake it's like that. We've been trusting God like that. Yeah, 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 yeah. Oh, we gon' put your business on display.
Hey everybody, how are you today? Neesha here with Neesha's Network, and I am here as we are every Wednesday putting people's business on display. Just because the song is catchy, I have to add some excerpts from it and just really put it out there. Super duper excited about our special guest today. I wanted to remind you guys to share. Today we're going to be talking about a little bit about marriage. And we talk about business quite often, but today we're going to have an expert who can talk to us about business and marriage and working together with your spouse. And so without further ado, I'm just going to bring her on. Her name is none other than the wonderful, beautiful Mrs. Monica Tanner. Hey, Monica.
Hello, Neesha. How are you?
I'm good. I'm so excited we finally got here, right?
Yes, I love it.
I'm so grateful. I know that if people hear me say this all the time, but relationships are God's idea. They were not ours. And divine connections are so important. And so God just knitted our hearts together through Clubhouse. People are probably sick of me saying that, but to be very honest with you, I have not been on Clubhouse in probably about a good 5 or 6 weeks. I've been kind of MIA, taking a sabbatical and a break from just really running myself raggedy. But my relationships with the people that I've met that God ordained have stuck. And you are one of those amazing people. And so I wore a yellow t-shirt on purpose today because Monica represents the brighter side of things, the brighter side of life. And every time I see you on social media, Monica, you are either smiling. Her smile is so bright, you all. And she's either with her quote unquote hunk of a husband, okay, and her amazing children. And she is doing something like that, probably maybe jumping out of an airplane or climbing some type of mountain or doing bungee jumping or water rafting. I'm probably being a little bit exaggerative, but no, skiing, all of the above, right?
That's so funny. I'm a scaredy cat. You'll never see me jump out of a plane or bungee jump. But
okay. Well, daring is some of the things you do. But I just want you to tell everybody who you are, where you live, and a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, I'd love to. So like you said, I'm married to a hunky man. We have 4 kids. 3 of them are teenagers. So yes, it is crazy in our house. But we're very adventurous. We love to be outdoors together. We love to travel. We take epic road trips. I'm a relationship and intimacy expert. I love all things having to do with what creates a stronger connection, what makes us more attracted to each other, how do we keep the fun and the spark in our marriage for years and years and years, decades and decades. I am literally obsessed with what makes marriages strong and lasting and how we can create and write our own happily ever afters. So that's what I do. That's what I love. I love you because you do so much of this as well, but you are so multifaceted. So our relationship is really unique and fun.
Yes, I agree with you. And just to mention that the fact that not only are you an entrepreneur, you and your husband together, working business. So we won't talk about, you guys, regular business, but I do want to hone in on the fact that God put it in your heart to hone in on finding that way to happily ever after marriage and really diving into that. And what really caused you to say, what made you feel led to do that? To say, because, and it's funny because I'll say this first, Monica's husband, he supports her all 150%, but she said we won't see him in front of the camera unless she's taking the pictures. But that she has really just, God has gifted her to find the art of really what can make a marriage happy and full of joy and the peace of God. So tell us what started that passion.
Yeah, I think it all started when I was 12 years old and my parents announced that they were getting a divorce. And
Mm.
I remember feeling like, oh my gosh, my whole life just kind of came crashing down. And not that it was the worst thing that ever happened to me, but I think it really led me to look in the direction of how do we prevent this from happening? Because I never, I thought my parents were happily married, but I was, like, I didn't realize that they were not. So I started just kind of examining other people's marriages. I kind of studied, in my limited understanding, I would go to friends' houses and I would, see what their parents did and like those types of things. And then I studied it formally in college. I studied sociology and child development, thinking that I would become a social worker and I would help families kind of stay together or do those types of things. But right before I started a graduate program, my soon-to-be husband rode in on his white horse, and we started our marriage and our family and all of those things. And so I jumped into this experiential learning of what marriage was like. And man, I had some huge misconceptions, right? So like even
Okay.
after all that study and all, like I thought I knew everything there was to know about how to create a happy marriage, but man, we struggled, to be honest. We started a business immediately together and I kind of thought that I could do all the things. I thought I could, be an incredible wife and a perfect mom and this great business owner, and like I never realized that, oh my gosh, I've got to ask for help and I've got to figure out what our marriage is the
Yeah.
perfect marriage for us, right? So I always thought like, oh, I've studied marriages, like I know what makes marriages work,
Right.
but nobody can give you the perfect recipe for your marriage. That's something you
Right.
have to discover on your own with your partner, and you get to create and build it together. That's what's so fun.
Right.
But I definitely through the process learned some incredible skills and strategies and methods, frameworks that I now teach other couples in order to create that beautiful, happy, marriage of their dreams. So I did go back to graduate school when all my kids were in school. I went back to graduate school thinking I'd become a marriage and family counselor, but quickly realized that I did not want to wait for couples to be in crisis mode to come see me. I wanted to give them all these tips and tricks and tools that they could use before they ever got to that point. So at that point, I dropped out of that graduate program and started podcasting and interviewing and coaching and doing all the things that I really, really enjoy doing now.
So, something you said early on is when you and your husband struggled and you went and found all the tools that you needed to create things and make things better, or you thought you had it put together. When you were in the midst of those struggles, just, how God doesn't ignite people at the same time, or they don't take the igniting at the same time.
Yeah.
And so what is your husband's name? I just know he's Mr. Tanner. What's his
Ben.
name? Ben. So when Ben saw this light bulb come on that you wanted to make a difference, and because of your own struggles and saying, what, this is not what I want, and I don't want to wait till other couples get to this. But what was his response in regards to, because all husbands are not eager to go to counseling. Most people know that 9 times out of 10 it's the woman that has this aha moment that I want things to be better. Not always, but majority. What was his response as a man who saw that, we had some struggles, but we want to do this thing and do it better?
Yeah. Well, that's really an interesting question that you would say that, because it didn't really look like a light bulb for me. It looked like a massive breakdown. So
Okay.
I think it really scared Ben, because he thought, I'm married to this woman and everything's great and there's no problems, right? But I was like crying every single day, and like I didn't know what I wanted, and like how could I let myself get to this place where I was so miserable in this life that I thought that I always wanted. Like it was a mess. And he honestly did have no clue what to do. He was like, oh my gosh, what is happening to my wife, right? So that's what it looked like originally when I first started, like, kind of that it was kind of the down before the breakthrough. And it
Mhm.
was a lot of my own work that I had to do. So I
Okay.
teach couples now that it doesn't have to be both of you. Like you
Right.
can make a significant improvement in your relationship by solely focusing on yourself and how you're showing up and what you're bringing to the relationship. So you definitely don't have to get your partner on board when you start
Okay.
doing this.
Okay. And I think that that's a very huge misconception that people have, is that they're waiting on their spouse to make some changes when you can kind of do the, not kind of, you can do the work yourself. And as you begin to work on you, they say as you change, the world around you begins to change because you're different and you've made different choices. So tell us some of the projects that you've done. We know you have a blog. We know you have a website, and I participated. Me and Wes, we may be a little bit called dropouts, but we were called overload, busy dropouts. It wasn't because we wanted to drop out, but we made it through. I think about 8 of the projects that the website was, well, through the art of espionage. So there we were, what were we doing? We were doing a training on how to the art of espionage, and we were working together, and we had to watch these videos, and it was really so much great content and homework that was involved, which was great as well. I won't mention homework, but a lot of it was great homework. But tell us a little bit about some of the things that you offer couples.
Yeah. So you're referring to the Training in the Art of Sexpionage, which is my
Right.
signature program, and I love it. It's really, really so much fun. It's gone through several iterations. Like I kind of floundered around, like, how can I help couples the most, right? And so Training in the Art of Sexpionage is a program that you can do with your partner. You can do it without, but you at least need your partner to buy into the homework part, which is dates, right? So it's like you learn some different concepts, and we call them spy skills. So you learn spy relationship skills, and then you get to put them into practice by going out on a date and putting these things into practice. You're learning all kinds of things related to emotional intimacy. You're learning conflict resolution. You're learning physical and sexual intimacy, and how that really creates the fabric for really your happily ever after. But the reason why I love these spy analogies so much is because spies are just humans, right? They weren't born with their spy skills, but you watch a spy movie and you're like, oh my gosh, these people have practiced these skills. And so when they get into these sticky situations that life will put you in, right? They pull out, their ninja, whatever spy skills, or their detectives, like all the really cool things that make you go, wow, that was amazing. And so that's what I want to give to couples is, the challenges are going to be different. The things that you face in life are going to be different. All of the, your specific missions in life are going to look different than everybody else's. But when you have these skills that you've practiced and you've put into play, you can get through it together as a team, knowing that struggle is going to make you stronger. And that's what I love about Training in the Art of Sexpionage. So
Yeah, you guys need to go to onthebrighter.com, and you will begin to see all of the different opportunities and trainings that Monica has to offer. Thebrightersideofmarriage.com. She's got a challenge coming up. We'll talk about that in a minute. But I want to hone in on, Monica, one thing, and that is working together, being in business together. Or even, me and Wes, we have separate jobs for our careers. But in terms of the marriage ministry, we work on that. And so I don't know about you and Ben, but me and Wes, anytime it's an opportunity for us to share or speak or something, there is intense fellowship right before every single time. So tell us about how you have gained the knowledge about working together as entrepreneurs, you and your husband, and then working together in business together, and then having to do marriage as well, which is exciting, right? But put all that in the bowl together. Tell us how that works.
Yeah, I love it because I think we connect so strongly on this point, because you guys do have such separate interests and separate businesses. And then you have the the marriage ministry together. So my husband and I, right after he graduated from college, after we got married, we started a business together. And so we know what it's like to work together. We know what it's like to have very differing opinions about how things should go, especially, marketing and advertising and, just how we should run things, right? I'm very organized. He's very fly by the seat of his pants. So we're very different, but we did figure out how to start and grow and build a business together that supports our family very, very well. And then as well as I have now kind of broken off. So, online marketing and intimacy, which is kind of what I do, couldn't be farther from what he is interested in, right?
Okay.
And so I always tell couples, especially when you're talking about starting a business or entrepreneurship, to not get, sidelined or sidetracked by this idea that your partner has to be interested and passionate about what you're interested and passionate about in order to be supportive. So you won't see a lot of my husband in my business, right? I can share things with him and he can give me his advice or whatever, but he does not get excited about marital intimacy and, speaking online about marital intimacy. He shows up in pictures, so you'll see his face, but he's not in interviews. He doesn't get all excited and giddy to talk about these things, but he is really passionate about me. He wants me to be happy. He wants to support me. He sees my successes as well as my failures, and he's there for all of it. But that doesn't mean he gets really passionate and excited about, the books I'm reading and the people I'm talking to.
So with that being said, and I know, let me tell you all, people have heard me say this before in previous interviews with people, that balance is not the word. So I think it was, what's the word you use instead of balance?
Juggling.
So I learned that from Monica, you guys, because sometimes when me and Wes talk to couples or minister or coach them, we find that one spouse feels left out or feel like they're getting the short end of the stick because the other one has taken off in whatever business they're in. In the beginning, it was, okay, we're all on board with support. I want you to be happy. But then the limelight hit. So do you feel like that changes over time? Or do you feel like, how can you keep, maybe not balance, but how do you juggle that where one spouse doesn't feel left behind or left out?
Yeah. So I think the most important thing to remember there is just to prioritize each other, no matter where you are in life, whether you're struggling with your business or your business is taking off, or, you're putting, inordinate amount of time. That's why I hate the word balance, because it's never going to be balanced. Sometimes you're putting a lot of time and energy into your business. You're putting a lot of time and energy into raising your kids and as little time into your marriage, right? However, it's the feeling of being prioritized by your partner that helps ease all of that. So that's kind of a spy skill, is learning how to prioritize your marriage, even in the busiest seasons of life. So it doesn't have to take a lot of time or energy or even forethought when you kind of learn how to help your partner feel prioritized. So I have found that the biggest struggles and arguments and fights that couples get into when things are kind of disheveled or unbalanced is because one partner feels unprioritized. They feel like they're at the very bottom of their partner's to-do list.
Yeah.
They could care less, right? And so if we learn the skills to put our partner on our to-do list every day, to not compromise date nights, to do those little connecting things throughout the day so that our partner knows like, hey, I am spending a lot of time on my business. My kids are taking a lot of my focus and energy, but I do really cherish you and love our relationship. And I'm willing to put you on the top of my to-do list. Those things really, really matter.
Wow. Now, you guys, if you're tuning in, we're talking with relationship expert Monica Tanner, and she can train you in the art of sexpionage. She can train you in mastering how to live your most best life through marriage and relationships. And the reason I say that is because immediately when you think the art of sexpionage, I literally thought it was going to be a lot about sex. I promise I did. And it might be included in there somewhere, right? but it was really about doing the work and being equipped with tools that started conversations that probably we hadn't talked about in a while. We're so busy talking about them with other people that we hadn't really talked about them recently with ourselves. So that's why I always say every coach needs a coach, every trainer needs a trainer, every teacher needs a teacher. You need someone to pour back into you. So if you guys are interested in any type of training or relationship coach, I'm telling you, it's a phenomenal program. Log on to the On the Brighter Side of marriage.com and you will not be disappointed. Monica, tell us a little bit about the Seduce Your Spouse Challenge. We have not done that one, so we'll have to talk about that. Tell us about that.
Well, first of all, thank you for your kind words. I really, really, really appreciate your support always. And, I think the world of you and Wes. So, but the Seduce Your Spouse Challenge is a 5-day free challenge. It takes place in a Facebook group. And basically, we're talking about powerfully attracting your partner. So, especially right now, for those of you who are parents and sending your kids back to school, my experience, it's been an amazing, fun summer. We've had, so much fun, but summer is relaxed. You stay up late, you sleep in, there's not all of this scheduled stuff, right? But in the fall, it's like all of a sudden you got to be on, right? And you want to be on the same page with your partner, not arguing about who's taking the kids where and who's spending more time with what and whose jobs are whose, right? And so that's why we're doing next week, we're starting August 9th, the Seduce Your Spouse Challenge, and it's going to help you get on the same page with your partner. It's going to show you how to prioritize your marriage so that even in the hustle and the bustle and the scheduling and all of the things, that you're still looking at each other with love and support and appreciation. And so I would really encourage you, you've got nothing to lose. You just go to onthebrightersideofmarriage.com/SYS Seduce Your Spouse Challenge, and you can sign up for free.
On the brighter side of marriage.com/SYS. The Seduce Challenge, SYS Challenge. You guys need to register for that. And Monica said it's free. And so that is a blessing in itself, because what opportunity do you have to invest in yourself and really someone else investing in you and saying you matter and you matter so much that I'm offering my program that normally costs to say, I want you guys to have this healthy relationship going into the fall. What a gift. Thank you so much for that. And I want to tell you guys, Monica is not just an entrepreneur and married to her hug of a husband, but she has 4 incredible kids, and 4 is a whole lot, right? It's not more than my sisters that have 6 and my mom who had 8. But the point is that learning how to invest in you and your spouse and still juggling family and enjoying the juggle is so huge. I want to ask you about rewards. What are some of the rewards that you've seen since God has called you to this great work?
Oh my gosh. Seriously, I've seen marriages transformed. I've seen women who were ready to leave their spouse because they just didn't see any value in their marriage completely turn that around. I've seen men who were so discouraged and upset with, the marriage that they were in, just completely transform and, cherish their wives and realize the good in them. I love seeing marriages work. And I think the absolute best thing you can do for your kids is to show them an example of what a really healthy, thriving, beautiful, rewarding relationship looks like. So I love being able to just, help couples gain the tools to really turn their marriages around, to go from resentment and, disappointment to just that happily ever after feeling of like, I can't believe this is my life.
So I want to ask you a question for couples who have really taken a leap of separation and they are still married because they're not sure, and they have found that the separation has caused them a sense of peace, if you will. How could you encourage them? What would you encourage them to do if they say, you know what, the chaos is over. I'm not sure I want a divorce, but I have peace now that we're separated. What would you recommend?
Yeah, I mean, I think it starts with just realizing that you're never really going to get rid of that spouse. Like if you have children together, especially, then you're together for life whether you're married or not. So you're still going to have to learn how to parent together and how to work together and do those things. And so the very first step I think in reconciling if you're separated is to recognize the good. So go back and just, at some point you guys were fiercely attracted to each other. You decided to do this thing together and you had kids together. So you obviously saw the good in each other then, and that's usually still there. People don't just abandon all the things that made their relationship special in the beginning. So if you can kind of get back to that and recognize the value and the good in your marriage and in your partner, that's usually the best place to start. If we start from there, we can usually build all the other things.
That is so good. Start from what's good. Go back to remembering what you do love and not all the things that you're annoyed by. Yes, yes, yes. This is so good and it's so short of a time, but I want to talk about practical life lessons because I know that people need to hear the practicality of really because it seems like it's so easy, but I know that there's lessons that you've learned along the way that have like kind of shook you. So tell us a little bit about some of those practical lessons that you've learned along the way with this business and with this, I'm gonna call it ministry because it really is. Tell us a little bit about some of the lessons you've learned.
Yeah, I think the number one most important lesson I've learned is that you can't serve from an empty cup. Like the first thing that you have to do if you want to really be that spouse you want to be, that mom that you want to be, or dad, that business owner that you want to be, in order to show up in the world, you have to learn to show up for yourself first. So that is actually
Mm.
that SPY acronym: show up for yourself. Spells spy, kind of.
I
So,
love
um, yeah. So learning what fills your cup, and really removing the guilt from that, and realizing that you can only give from what you have, right there. I'm all for service. I'm all for saying yes. I'm all for being that girl who can do everything. But I've also learned from a very painful place that you can't be the yes girl if you're not saying yes to yourself. So
it.
learn what those things are. Learn what the things are that give you joy, that give you pleasure, that give you energy, that fill you back up, and then put that intentionally into your day, because
Yeah,
you've got to recharge yourself if you want
yeah.
to be any good to anyone else.
Fill yourself up first, you guys. You've got to recharge yourself before you think you can recharge anyone else. That is, put the oxygen mask on yourself because
Yes, yes, yes.
it's you about you first. So thank you so much. Is there anything you could leave with us that you would want people to know and remember that stands out?
Yeah, I mean, I think your happily ever after is within reach. You absolutely can have that storybook fairy tale ending, but you have to be willing to put in the work. And it's not about, it's not, people aren't either born with relationship skills or not. It's something that they choose to learn and to practice and to put into play in their own marriages. And you absolutely can do it. So, don't tell yourself the lie that, it's just not that important. Or, if when you get your relationship dialed in, you show up better everywhere. You're more successful. You're happier. You're, a better friend, parent, lover, all the things. So definitely, definitely invest in yourself and invest in those relationship skills that will last a lifetime.
Wow, this is so good. It's been so good. I'm so grateful you came today. She always comes with so many nuggets, and I could have mentioned a whole lot more that I've heard her say. I could think of all of them right now, a few sayings and different things that really have encouraged us along the way. But for now, our interview has come to an end, but I want you all to log on to the onthebrightersideofmarriage.com. Sign up for Seduce Your Spouse Challenge. I'm going to put it in all of my social media platforms so that all married couples, Heart Life Ministries, Chi-Town married couples, wherever you are, the Seduce Your Spouse Challenge is a 5-day challenge. We want to be a participant of that, you guys, and not for Monica, right? Not for Monica.
Yeah, do it for yourself.
It is for us, right? And it's free 99, okay? Not even the 99 part, free 99. Thank you so much, Monica, for
Thank you.
all right, you guys, we will be back next Wednesday, 12 noon Central. Super excited about our guests for the next upcoming months. And guess what? You can subscribe now to Neeshasnetwork.com. You don't have to go to Patreon. You can go to Neeshasnetwork.com. Become a part of our community, you guys. It's only $15 a month. It is an amazing opportunity. You'll get life coaching and newsletters and opportunities with business consultants and so much more. You also should subscribe today and to our YouTube channel. Okay. Love you guys. Thank you, Monica. Massive hugs, girl. All right. Till next week. We'll see you all later. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Yeah. Oh, we gon' put your business on display.